You bitch, Brad.
Did you take too many roids this morning or what?
Roids?
Yeah.
You mean Rolo bars that you take in the morning?
Welcome to
Don't be jealous.
Uber Tales. Don't shoot the driver.
Fuck you, Josh.
Yeah, fuck you, Brad. You stole my
Go
chain,
shit up
piece
again.
of shit.
Go shoot up again? Is that what you said?
His roids.
Oh, yeah, my roids.
Oh, okay. I just officially had to start the podcast because you guys were just arguing the whole time. I have no clue what story we're doing or who's doing it. I figure if we do it on, I guess we could say on air. I mean, I know that's technically not true, but we're going to use that term. We're going to try on air to get a story out of one of these dudes.
Well, somebody has to actually Uber in order to have a story, so knowing that I'm the only one that mostly Ubers, I'll have to tell a story.
Oh, are you not Ubering?
I Uber, yes, I do.
one
Brad
day a
just
week?
gives me shit. He just likes to give me shit.
Because you're not as committed as he is?
Well, I just like he's
I
like
do
a
it,
1 day
I
a
do
week
it like
type of
4
guy.
days a week, and Brad's doing it maybe 6 days a week. Okay, so
Really?
for those 2 days,
Bullshit.
I get shit.
You've
all right?
never done it 4 days a week. You're lucky to get 2.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god, Brad, you're like a little old lady or something.
You're like a little old.
He's like, yeah, I do it for damn. Some little old.
Maybe. Who knows?
It's going to be one of those days.
It's
One of
already
those
one of
shows.
those days. Yeah.
All right. We got the jitters out. What are we thinking? I heard the little
Snippet.
message. I think it sounds interesting.
Of course.
We
Tell the
should.
tale, Brad.
Well, that's what we're gonna do.
Let's find out what happened in this. And this. Oh, usually we go over stuff. Yeah. Now that we didn't do our little sheet, I'm now thinking. Oh man, this is about homeless shelters and stuff. So, darn it, there's something cool in there. So maybe I'm gonna go down that path if you guys are okay with that.
Sure.
I know you have no clue what I'm
Were
talking
you
about.
homeless
Neither
once,
does
Bobby?
the
What are you
audience.
talking about?
Yes, for sure.
There's a homeless shelter I was in Texas. That's
Not
like
in
it was.
Texas. No, I lived
Oh,
alongside the highway in.
Did you find your little
Alaska.
thumbs there? Is that where the fetish like started?
Poor
Fetish
Bobby.
started. This is growing way out of proportion.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm just gonna go with it.
All right.
All right. So there you were on some beautiful
Yeah.
sunny day.
So it was like
What time?
7, 8 o'clock at night. So it wasn't super late. The guy was going to work, so I got a ping. He lived downtown in downtown Salt Lake City, so it was downtown to kind of near. If people are familiar with Utah and Salt Lake City, there's a homeless shelter near the gateway. So I was taking him from like Trolley Square area to the gateway just across the street. So.
So not very far.
Not very far, kind of a short ride. But so I started talking to the guy. The guy gets in my car, and I started asking him questions like, "Hey, what do you do?" Or just headed to work, because I noticed he had a security jacket on. So I was like, "Oh, you just going to work?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, that's cool." He said, "So where do you work?" He's like, "Well, I work all over the place, but mainly they've been keeping me at the homeless shelter because this is a high traffic area where lots of stuff happen and not a lot of people can handle it. So I can handle it better than most."
Can you explain to me? Have you been down there? Well, obviously, you guys both been down there
Yeah.
to where the homeless shelter is
Yes.
and kind of that area.
Yeah.
Can you guys, just so people can understand, because I've been down there, it's pretty funky.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty. I mean, there are people alongside on the sidewalks and tents.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so I mean, you
cardboard
have
boxes and,
so like over there, like they only have a certain number of like spots available. So when they run out, people still try to stay in the area just in case something comes up or somebody gets kicked out or something like that. So there's a lot of people there, like you said, Bobby, where they're in tents, they're just kind of sitting on the street, they're just kind of there.
yeah.
So yeah, it's
So as you can think, it's
it could be a sketchy area.
yeah.
It is a sketchy area.
Period.
Yeah. So every Friday morning, I meet with, well, not every Friday morning because, I'm here at the podcast, but most Fridays when I can, there's a charity group called Hope Alive that actually goes out there and will minister them and give them food and stuff like that. And so sometimes I go and I do that, and it's very sketchy, and yeah, it's pretty bad. You know, some of the conditions are pretty damn bad. You know, and I've seen them firsthand. You know, giving little ice creams and stuff. Well, not now because it's winter, but you know,
I was gonna say you're giving ice cream in the wintertime.
No, not in the winter. But I mean, we pass out blankets too and stuff. You know, and I have seen like firsthand, like just like people just literally living in their like feces. Like there's just crap everywhere, and it's a mess. You know, It's really bad.
And you're taking this guy to that
area,
to that area
to work.
Security guard. So I'm assuming he's got some stories for you.
Oh yeah, I mean, we didn't. It was such a short ride, like we couldn't get into too many. But there was one in particular that he started telling me, and that's obviously what I'm going to tell now. But so it was a short ride, but it was a good ride. But very humble guy, very very down to earth, very
really security guard,
knowing everything
around. But he's most of the security guards I know are actually pretty cool dudes.
Yeah, I mean most of them are. So I mean
and ladies. I know some security ladies.
Yeah. So he said,
tough gig.
Total tough gig.
Yeah, it's rough.
Would not.
You got to have a lot of patience too.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
What?
That you don't have any patience.
Yeah.
Well, I just said you have to have a lot of patience, you know.
Well,
I don't have any patience.
Well, we know Bobby. He's like, one wrong step with Bobby. Yeah.
Done.
Clock, you're dead.
Quit looking at me.
There's Bobby.
I don't know. He looked at me. I just knew he was gonna, try and kill me. So I beat him to the punch.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. We're back on track.
Yeah.
Brad.
So I asked him. I was like, hey, so I mean, is there anything interesting that goes on like while you're at work? And he's all, well, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So I was like, okay, well, I said, well, what's something that recently happened? He's like, well, last week we had a homeless guy who was in the shelter, and it was kind of later at night, and he grabbed his fingernail that he tore off and started picking at his arm. He was picking at it so much.
He tore off his fingernail?
Mm-hmm.
Ripped off a fingernail,
yeah.
And then started to cut himself open.
Yep.
With his ripped off fingernail.
With his ripped off fingernail.
Huh.
Right.
That's
okay.
Strange.
A little weird.
So it's a little scratch on his arm.
Well, kind of. So he was picking at it enough that he made a bigger, I guess,
hole in his
gash?
arm. Gash.
I would say I don't know.
With
gash?
a fingernail.
Oh my gosh!
Don't shoot the messenger.
This sounds like
strange.
A horror movie.
Right.
This is the start of the zombie apocalypse. I'm thinking.
So the story goes is what he told me is the guy was picking at it and nobody really saw, but it got so bad that
what?
What happened? What just happened?
What is that, Brad?
I don't know.
You looked over at Joshua and he's
I don't
so
know
beautiful.
The yeah,
he's playing footsie with me below the table. So I'm like, dude, knock it off.
Quit playing with my feet.
Leave me alone, damn it.
Brad is the one with the weird.
No means no.
That's what Brad tells his clients every night.
Hey, let me see those feet.
So here we are. This guy's got this big hole in his arm now, and it's getting to the point where I guess blood is starting to.
Blood is already around it, but he actually picked it enough that he hit like one of his main vein lines, and actually started having blood gush out everywhere.
So he cut an artery with a
torn off fingernail.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Exactly. He must have been growing that thing for years.
Maybe, I don't know.
And it must be like really brittle, like really hard brittle.
Have you ever? I've like cut my finger with my fingernail before. You guys never done that?
I don't think I've ever cut myself
sliced
with
it up,
a fingernail.
and I can't remember what I was doing, but somehow, and I like gashed my finger with my fingernail.
Really?
And it
is
like
possible.
Ripped it really well.
Yeah. Bobby's flipping us off.
Yeah,
no, he's flipping you off.
This one right here.
Hey, Bobby, watch out. There's a mic there.
Oh.
I've never cut myself with my own fingernail.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's possible.
I mean, I can see it being a
possible.
possibility. So I mean, I know it could happen, but I've
so was he
never
just
done it.
mentally
really
deranged?
committed?
I don't know. I think
He's
he
just
was.
Damn, let me cut myself with
maybe
a
I don't know.
nail.
Maybe he was on some drugs. I don't know.
It could have been.
Huh.
He didn't go into detail on that.
No, he didn't go into detail.
I'm assuming something else happened.
Yeah, so he was actually
Here he
outside.
is. Now you got to worry about. I mean, blood. When blood
Right,
happens,
yeah,
there's
exactly.
Yeah, you can get
HIV, all kinds of
Exactly.
crazy.
Lots
I
of
mean,
things.
blood's
all
a
the
big
shit
deal.
Brad has currently got.
Okay, maybe.
Just kidding.
I get checked regularly. I'm
I
good.
get checked regularly.
Why you don't have to?
I don't have to, but I choose to.
He chooses to.
Sorry,
He's on. I don't know, but he's just
Quit playing footsies with me.
got his funny bone there. I don't know what is going on.
Brad, he's like, I get checked all the time. I'm like, you don't have to. Do you get? It went over Bobby's head.
Because
totally
he
went
doesn't
over.
ever have
Yeah,
sex.
that's what
I get it.
I was just.
No, I
was
totally
just
get
being
it.
mean.
Yeah, you don't have to if you're not, got anything to
that's-
worry about.
But that's a joke.
Your hand,
Yeah.
you can't give it diseases.
Brad is the biggest fucking player I've ever met. He's just out,
He's the player.
He's at the clubs with the little gold chain.
Totally.
Doing the
Can't you see
little
it?
go-go dance.
Back to the guy with the hole in his arm.
Nice segue.
Yeah.
So there he is, blood shooting out. He's
Yeah.
hit a vein now. How did? And I know you probably don't know this because you don't ask all the deep questions when somebody's telling you.
I only
his
have like 6 minutes. I can't dive deep, Bobby.
But I'm like, is he walking by and he goes, "Oh wow, there's blood shooting out of that guy's arm. Maybe I should help him." Anyway, what does he do?
He was actually outside on the perimeter doing a
Sweep.
check. Sure,
He's doing a sweep.
Sure,
That's
we'll
what
say
it's called.
sweep. So he's checking the outside of the building, doing a sweep, and he gets a call over the radio. And he's like, "Hey, I need help." So he rushes in.
Blood gushing.
Sees the guy, blood gushing everywhere.
Oh.
He grabs the guy and pins him down.
Does he have gloves on?
No. So he's got a jacket on.
He
So
tells
it's all
you,
on his
yeah,
jacket.
I'm not got gloves.
Yeah. So
Wow.
like he grabs him in a way like,
Did you know quite a bit of details? This is pretty cool.
well, of course. I
Yeah.
mean, I
That's
can't get them
gnarly,
all, but
though.
I got some of them.
Yeah, so he grabs it.
So he grabs him by, like he said, like the chest. So he was kind of holding him and pinning him down so the blood wouldn't gush out. So he has
On the
his,
ground.
on the ground. So he's got his arm over here with his knee, and then he's holding him by the chest.
I think he should have raised his arm up over his head. That would have probably been better.
Yeah,
I'm not in a
I-
position to critique him.
Yeah, I think you kind of need consent to be able to raise somebody's arm over their head.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna pin them to the ground, you might, because they're bleeding. I mean, that's how you prevent, like when you get major cuts on your. Pretty sure, right?
Yeah,
You
I'm
raise
sure
it
that's
over your-
easy. I'm
raise it
sure
over
he
your
was
head.
thinking a lot about that. Let's get his arm over his head. He probably didn't want blood shooting in
Right.
his
But
eyeball.
at the same point, I mean, if you're putting pressure with your knee on that wound, it's not going to get any blood anywhere.
There you go. He
Maybe,
pushed.
yeah,
he
maybe.
kneed down on the wound. I'm sure that was really
Maybe, yeah.
comfortable.
Right, I'm sure.
So then what?
So then they call the ambulance, and the ambulance comes, and the guy like tries to attack the EMT
While he's bleeding out.
while he's bleeding. So the
Christ.
security guard kind of steps in and just kind of pins him down again. And then apparently they gave him some sedative and calmed him
they
down,
gave
and
him
he was
some
good to go.
sedative.
Give him some sleepy time. I guess.
Exactly.
Instead of an EpiPen, it's
Right.
Jesus.
whatever.
Shout out to security guards and EMT workers. Oh God. Watch out, Bobby. There's
So,
something like there too.
So
Right.
did you ask him? Hey, do you like your job?
I did. He said he did. He said it was a lot better than what he was doing. So
God, what he used to do.
Protecting a crack house?
Yeah,
Maybe,
what
I don't
did he
know.
used to do?
he used to drive. He was young
Bowling
enough.
alley attendant.
So I don't remember like where he came from, but he came from somewhere where
A mom and a dad. Trust me,
Really?
there's biology.
I had no idea. He had some family that drove truck, and he would always go with them. Now, mind you,
Security trucking.
he was under 21 at the time, but they kind of taught him the basics of how to drive a truck. So
Okay.
sometimes for like an hour or two, so they could catch up on a nap, he would then drive for them.
Oh, without
That's
a
really
CDL
bad.
or anything.
That's really
He
bad.
has no CDL license.
No CDL license,
Oh,
Underage.
underage.
oof.
Because you have to be 21 for a CDL.
You do.
license?
Yeah.
And
Is that
carrying
in every
cargo.
state? Or?
Yes, that's federal.
Oh,
That's
interesting.
Trucking's a federal gig, guys. Yeah,
Hmm.
It's federal. Uh-huh.
So
I was gonna do that.
Yeah.
Once.
So I asked him, I was like, well, why not just do that? I mean, if you already know how to do it, why not just go find a company that will sponsor you, get you your CDL, and go do that?
You have a
tons.
little experience, I'm sure. That
You don't even need experience. You don't even
yeah.
That's what I was
Yeah.
telling him,
Always
because
they
he thought he needed experience in this and that. I was like, no,
They
you can
always
you can
need
go to a
truckers.
company and
Everyone's
just
gotta
go.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Everyone's got to go to school.
That's exactly what I told him.
Companies will more than happily pay for your schooling.
Yep.
If you'll come out and drive for them, because there's always a huge demand for truck drivers.
There we go.
That's what I told him.
But what was his job that he hated? You said it was better than the job he had before.
Well, he was doing the trucking, but he wasn't really getting paid for it.
That's not much of a
So,
job.
I mean, he
By
was
his
just
own
more.
That's a
family.
hobby.
But he was
That's a
flying.
hobby.
Yeah, that sounds like a hobby, and he's driving for his own family. And
Yeah.
they didn't pay him.
I mean, they'd give him a little bit. I mean, not enough to like.
Here's $5. Go get a sandwich
Yeah,
from the Maverick.
Maybe, I don't know.
from Flying J. You know,
There you go.
7-Eleven.
Flying J or Pilot. You know?
Here.
Maybe.
Can you tell that I come from a trucking family?
Yeah,
He's talking
me too,
Maverick. That's a
actually.
gas station.
Yeah,
You know,
me
but
too.
yeah, Flying J's. You know, that's where you're gonna
my
get.
mom's side,
Yeah.
4 or 5 of my uncles are truckers.
Yeah, it's
Been truckers.
yeah.
Retired
Respect
truckers.
to the truck drivers.
Yes,
Absolutely.
It's
absolutely.
what keeps our country running.
Yes,
It does.
absolutely. So that was. I'm still confused though because he said this is better than what I had. So is this guy super young then, huh?
Yeah, he was young. I mean, I didn't have time to grill him, Bobby. I mean, I only had like
Gosh,
6
man,
minutes.
come
with him.
on! When you know it's a good juicy story, you got to grill those people. Grill them,
I'm not gonna hold him up from going to work.
dude. You need to sit back in the car. I need.
We're
some
going
details.
back around the block like
Yeah.
3 or 4
Yeah.
times. Come on,
There
I
you
need some
go.
details.
Yeah. Would
That's
would
rough.
that charge you more?
They would charge him more.
Yeah. Well, that's okay then. No. So anyway, so he tells you that story.
Bobby,
he loves
you'd be
his
the
job.
worst fucking Uber driver.
Oh, I would not be a good Uber.
Bob's like, hey, this is a good story,
Overcharging.
guys. Hey,
I would.
We're just
not
gonna take a
be-
couple
Hey,
more.
yeah, dude. Let's just
around
come
the
on. This is a
block.
good conversation. Let's just keep driving.
Look at Bobby the wrong way, make a weird sound.
Right.
He pulls his gun out. You're like, Jesus Christ. Bobby.
He's probably like, hold up, let me see those
out of
thumbs.
Yeah, let me see them thumbs.
Yeah, you can't get in the car.
Yeah, you're not getting
Sorry.
there. Don't
That-
touch my
those
handles.
aren't right.
Yeah.
Sorry, sweetheart. They don't match up.
They don't.
Okay, so that's what happened. I wanna kind of talk. You know, we've been kind of playing with this idea of
Yeah.
of kind of getting something out of the show and learning something from the show, and this is just homelessness. I find it's just weird that in this day and age in this country we still have homelessness. What do you guys think about that? I mean, obviously, it seems to me long timer ago,
Long timer.
you know, back in
Back in those days.
past days, you know, past
I
in the
gotcha.
past,
Yeah.
people had been down on their luck or they're out of jobs, and homelessness, it seemed like, was not as much, and I might get toasted for this, maybe a choice as it is now. I kind of feel like a lot of people, it's a choice, maybe mental illness and drugs. Am I off base here? Because it feels like I hear that a lot now, that most of the homeless people are either hardcore on drugs or mentally unstable, and that's why they choose to be homeless.
At least from the mental perspective, I mean, you can't control that. So, I mean, I don't want to call that a choice. It's just they don't maybe have any other options. I could kind of say the same thing for drug users. I mean, they can clean themselves up. They can get themselves back together, but
it's a hard gig.
yeah, I mean nobody knows the struggles that you're
but
going through.
When I say a choice, I mean if you're sane and you're not a drug user, what are the chances of you being homeless?
I mean,
Because then it would be a choice.
yes and no. I mean,
Or do you
Certainly.
guys think that there are people that have perfectly good mental capabilities and don't have a drug problem
Yes.
that are homeless.
that are homeless?
Yes, I believe they are.
Of course. We've had stories like that. I've told stories.
Oh yeah, the girl up there
Who went to be with her boyfriend, and he's like, "Get
And
out of
she
my
didn't
truck."
know if they had drug issues. You kind of wondered.
I don't think she was a drug. I mean, she was like working out and stuff. Like I was taking her to a gym, most people that go
Taking
to
her to a gym
gyms,
because she didn't know where
She
else
knew
to go.
she needed somewhere to sleep.
well, but she had a membership.
Oh, she did have a membership.
obviously.
Maybe that's why she had the membership.
So she wouldn't be homeless. Maybe to
So,
take
but
showers.
don't
is
you
what I
think
thought
that is
afterwards,
the
but
that is the exception, not the rule, though, right?
I don't think there is a rule.
Yeah, I don't really think
Well,
there is. I
Life's
mean,
too complex.
Guys, when I say rule, I don't mean a freaking rule. I mean that
The rule of
it
thumb,
happens a
yes.
lot like
so
this.
you know, I've never done like a deep dive on all homeless people.
Well, I
and
think it's
homelessness.
curious. Yes.
Yeah, no, it's
because
a good subject.
people talk about this in this country. Why do we have homelessness, and why do we, why don't we give more to homelessness, and blah blah blah.
Because
and it's like
there's so many different reasons. There's high demand for skills, that nobody possesses when they're first coming out of college, or there's people that can't even get to college because they can't get funding. Inflation, everything, even in terms of like schooling and academia, has gone up by, I don't know, tons. I mean, look at college prices, like going to a standard 4-year university. Like,
you think college
30, 40
matters
years
for getting a
ago.
job?
I think it makes a big difference.
depends on what you go into.
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference when you're trying to get some sort of company position, having a degree versus not. I also think that,
So a
and this is
degree
something I'm
in
more
16th
qualified
century history is probably not going
on. I
to
don't know
get you
about
many
that.
jobs.
Well, it could get you a job in teaching, maybe.
Well, I mean, it depends on what you want to go for.
House prices have gone up, exponentially.
Really? Have they?
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. To everyone listening, no, they've stayed the same since the 1920s. Okay?
Wouldn't that
Housing
be
prices,
cool? We'd all be in houses.
Mortgage rates. Like, there's so many different reasons. Rent in general, as a general, I watch it myself statistically go up in certain cities. Like, wow, it's gone up by 22% or 30% or whatever.
And lots of people are
that's
living with their
insane.
parents now that are, in their 30s,
Lots of people
40s.
have to live with their parents.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so there's lots of reasons that lead to this outcome for people. I don't think it's necessarily by choice.
It's not a choice.
I don't think people are choosing to sleep on the cold ass streets.
Well, I've seen some documentaries where some people like that
Yeah,
life.
going back to the hippie days,
people
people
like
chose to go out and do. They chose that. They had options. They chose. Let me
So you
leave
think it's
the
because we
university.
don't have
Let me leave.
we
and
don't have
go do
options.
this.
I mean, I
or
think-
it's harder. It's
think
just
it's
harder.
The cost of living is just more expensive, and
just
the
more
wages aren't
expensive.
keeping up for some people, and therefore they have no choice but to live in their car,
Yeah.
which is being homeless.
And there's people that don't have the skills, assets, or even the family foundation. Like,
Well,
their
even-
parents were, say, drug addicts or whatever, and didn't really have much. They don't really have the tools necessarily to.
Is there
get out
anything
and-
we can do about it?
Well, I mean, you could be part of charities and stuff and donate, and and so that charity I was telling you guys about, Hope Alive, there are actual people that go there and are ministering food, blankets, whatever, contraceptives, etc. to these, all these homeless people. They themselves were homeless. And, some of them, I was talking with one of them, I won't, say his name and stuff, but
Jerry.
yeah, Jerry. I was talking with Jerry, and Jerry was telling me, he was like, I used to be homeless, and I never knew. He's got a 1-bedroom apartment and stuff, and he just seems like a really great, awesome guy. Just really outgoing, really loving. And he himself used to be on that line, getting all
Did he
this stuff.
say how he got out of it? Because that is interesting to me.
Yeah, so what he first, because he did actually have a
he
drug
did?
problem.
Oh.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Not to fit the statistic or build it, but he did have a drug problem. He told me he had to get cleaned up. He gave his life to Christ, So first he had to like get his mind straight. He said he determined that he was going to die. If
Next
he didn't
step was just death.
Well, yeah. So he was like, realistically, so he's like, I had the choice of death or life. And he said, what is life? And he's like, Jesus Christ is life. So he chose Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I don't know if that's for everyone, but he got connected with the ministry people, and they were able to kind of help him with his next steps, and getting cleaned up, and then also getting out of his rehabilitation, getting a good job, and eventually, getting off the streets permanently.
Interesting.
So,
Brad, you've been pretty quiet.
No, I'm just taking it all in. I mean, I agree
is
with
the
Josh.
answer give your life to Jesus?
Well,
That's the best
You never
that's
know.
it for
I
a
don't
lot
know.
of people.
It is.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely. Since you bring that up, I find that interesting. I remember, I can't remember what book it was, but they were talking about this guy that came into. He had a drinking problem, and man, he got in a wreck and almost killed his kids and stuff, and he kept trying to quit constantly. And it wasn't until he went to AA and he and they started talking about God. It wasn't until he had something else out there,
Purposeful.
that connected him, and he quit. But it wasn't until he had a God in his life, and he said it was something that connected him to something else that
Like
knew
a
it was
higher
bigger.
purpose.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was the only way he was able to actually
So
get
the
away from it.
overarching way, maybe to answer your question, Bobby, what can people do to help or whatever, you know?
This is just
Find a
become
higher
a
purpose.
Christian show.
Well, you know, people
I was going to be the naysayer here, but yeah.
always
what?
Yeah.
What?
You
No,
filthy
I mean,
heathen.
I don't think. I mean, I think it doesn't necessarily
Satan.
have to be a
Yeah,
higher.
Satan.
Going to the extreme, huh?
Yeah.
That face he just
Yeah.
gave me. That was the funny. That was
Well,
the most like, oh my hell! Why
Like, are we
why
really
would
going
you
there?
bring up the Satan guy? Anyway,
No,
what
I
were you
mean,
gonna say?
No,
Brad?
like I mean, I don't necessarily think it's maybe just like a higher power, but it has to have purpose. I mean, I think people
Higher
have to have
purpose.
purpose.
There you go.
When they have purpose, then they feel like they have something to live for. When they have something to live for, then that's what keeps you going, and that's your drive, and that's your motivation. So it could be
Kind of-
family, it could be a child, it could be a spouse, it could be anything. Who knows? But
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it has to be a higher power.
So that reminds me of Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. You know, he was in a concentration camp. He was a
Yeah.
psychiatrist, and he wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning. And that was the big thing. The people that died were the people that had lost their sense of who they were,
Their purpose.
And the only people that survived were the ones that said, "We have to survive this, so we can tell people." And those are the folks that hung on the longest, is because
They had something
a
to fight for.
purpose. Yes, they had a purpose to be alive.
His
for.
purpose, if I remember, because I read the book some years ago.
Many times I've read it.
Yeah, he would speak with his like he would
Oh,
sit
yeah,
and
in his head.
in his head speak
Yes.
with his wife, who was actually dead. But
Yes.
he would speak with her.
Well, I don't know about that, because he said he had to let go of her. He said, I had to, when she was killed, I had to let go of her, or I would sit and wallow and die myself. He said, I had to forget about my wife.
Yeah,
That's what he said in the book that I remember.
but
Because
he would
if
have
he's-
conversations with. He didn't know she was dead at the time.
Really?
I think he didn't. He find out she was dead after he got out.
I don't know. We're getting into the minutia of the book, but I think the
Yeah.
key is having a purpose.
Yeah,
having
well,
knowing.
I guess
that
it's
you,
just finding
And his
your
purpose, what I remember from
Yeah.
the book, is he knew he needed to write this book. He said, "I need to survive, so when
he
I
can
get
write
out of
this.
this, I can write that book." And he did sit and think
Yeah.
constantly about the book, how to write it. Powerful, powerful message. But I think you're right. I mean, it was about meaning, and I think that's not to jump topics here, but I think that has a lot to do with suicide in our country right now.
I think
It's
so
at
as
the
well.
Top. People don't
Yeah.
have a purpose.
Yeah.
Well, they feel
when-
lost.
Yes, they feel lost. They feel like, why am I here?
Or
There's
life.
no point in being here.
It's losing its meaning.
But when we need to find purpose. We need to get out there, and I think a lot of it has to do with service. I totally think
I agree. Yeah.
getting
I do.
out, serving other people
Yeah.
gives you something different than just having a job and making money.
Well, not only that, I mean, I think giving to somebody else or giving to something else helps you from a goodness perspective, and it helps you, feel grateful for the things that you do have. So,
Yeah.
I mean, service is always good.
It's something about service. You feel so much better than even if you make more money or whatever. It just does something about your soul.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
does.
know. So anyway, I think that's some interesting. It's been an
Insights.
interesting concept, interesting
Yeah.
topics.
It's been a strange episode. to be
Yeah,
honest.
we've been all over the
fingernails. veins being
it's
split.
sad, the homelessness. I think we just got to keep being part of something that's good. Look at service. Get out there. I love it, Joshua, that you say you go out and help sometimes. I mean, that's really us as human beings, and not big government people. Not to get political or anything, but we on the grounds can do our part, and that's what we can do.
Well, we need community. you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think that's something that. So again, that's something that's changed in our country.
It has.
I mean, my mother would tell me when she was younger, and she would tell me about things that I was like, that doesn't exist. That nobody would ever do that. That's so strange, to hear now. And it was stuff that was like related around communities, people sharing stuff, and like the neighbor coming over, can I get sugar? Like no one does that stuff, There's no community.
I get eggs from my neighbor.
I mean, kind of.
Well, maybe, but
yeah, I mean, we have a pretty good
relationship.
We have good neighbors.
Well, okay, that's the point though. We got to have really good.
It's
communities. Rare. Yeah, it's.
Well, we do. I mean, the human race isn't meant to be lived alone. It's meant to be with each other. And I can't remember where I heard it, but there was actually a study done that they took solitary confinement, and they did a study on inmates that were put in solitary confinement, and the brain chemistry actually changed after 14 days of being in isolation by yourself. That's where, I think, if I remember right, the study was saying that's where more psychotic episodes and visions happen, because the brain's trying to assimilate having people around.
Yeah, that just doesn't seem good.
It's not.
It kind of seems to me like torture.
It would be.
I mean,
I
some
think
of those guys live for years on end.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is torture.
Yeah,
that's why they do it.
To
punish them.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be better to just take them out. I'm just saying.
Of course.
Like I
knew where you were going with that.
It seems like I would just want to be taken out. I know it always go. I don't know what.
Send a chaplain. Let someone preach to him.
Being.
Maybe they can find purpose. Before you take them out. Bobby's answer like, "You ain't happy with life, son."
Okay, if I knew,
take him out.
He's done.
Oh my gosh.
If I knew somebody that was in prison and they did something wrong and they hurt a family member or something like that I knew, I would want them to suffer as much as possible.
Yeah.
Taking them out seems too easy.
Yeah, I guess it's not going to bring my family member back or anything.
No, exactly.
Hating that person is only going to hurt me.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
I can forgive.
That's easy for me to say
suffer.
right now. Now, if somebody, I'm a new grandpa, and so
I know.
I can't
Congratulations.
even think if somebody hurt my kids or my now granddaughter, it would be a
freak
hard
out.
thing
Mm-hmm.
to. Yeah, I'd want them to burn in hell and be tortured for eternity for sure.
Exactly.
So it's easy to say.
Right.
But anyway, wow, this has gotten pretty deep. This is an interesting. Any last words? How about we switch over? Any gripes and delights? I mean, that is a part of the show.
Come on, Joshy, what you got?
I have to pick a delight because this episode.
When they say a prayer in the back of the car.
Yeah, there you go. When they're saying a prayer, then I know, hey, I'm saved. We're gonna be okay.
They're not going to shank you.
Yeah, that last episode, right, where she pulled the knife.
Exactly.
Yeah, my delight actually is when people are actually talking and normal. It makes me feel a lot comfortable because now in the back of my head, I'm like, all right, who's gonna be pulling knives on me? That scares me. Yeah.
You do like it when people are light and talking in the back and seem like they're having a good time and maybe communicating.
As long as they're communicating with me, I know we're on the same level.
Yeah,
it really does bother me when I'm speaking to someone and they don't respond. I'm like,
I hate when I get like brief answers when it's just like 1 to 2 word answers, and you're like,
I would think that's better than no answer. That's weird.
Yeah, I've gotten people that they're stone faced. They're just looking at their phone, or I'm just like, ooh.
Maybe they have like headphones in or something.
No, that's what I said. They're just looking at their phone. I look at them. I'm like, okay, there's no headphones. They're not blasting music. And I'm like, all right, they're just, that's sketchy. That makes me uncomfortable.
I would think it would
I'm
be
gonna
worse if they
glock your ass
looking...
if you do something funny.
Yeah, I would think it would be worse if they weren't looking at their phone, though. If they're looking at their phone, I'm like, okay, they're an a-hole, but they're connected to their phone. But if they were just sitting there and not answering you, that would be creepy.
There's people that have literally just looked out the window as I'm talking to them, and they don't respond. And
maybe
I'm like,
they're just having a bad day.
Maybe, but it's like, hi.
Or they're just a crazy person.
Or they're stoned.
It's like, hi
there.
No response.
Or they're deaf. Maybe they're deaf.
Yeah, maybe they're deaf. I don't. Like I said, it just puts me. It's like one of those check marks where I'm like, all right, check. Red flag.
I'm now in yellow zone.
Yeah,
I'm now in red zone.
Yeah, and once I hit red zone, I
it's
turn into a full
click,
Bobby.
Click. Yep, it's
I'm
click,
Bobby.
Click. When they start making noises back there, you're like, that's it.
That's a sign.
Yeah. That clapping's a prior episode. Listening.
Yeah, we got to have fans that like have listened to every episode that because we always. I like doing that. I like bringing back episodes from the past.
You have to.
Clues with the clapping.
That one was way back.
Yeah, that was way
That
back.
was like one of our first top 10, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What should grab delight, Brad?
I don't have one, but I wanted to take my time to maybe
do a PA message.
Yeah, do a PA message.
Look at his face.
And maybe highlight some of the comments and questions that we've been getting.
Okay. No, Brad, shut the fuck up.
Oh,
So
please.
let me pull it up. I want to read this one.
Here it comes.
Can I say who it came from then, Brad?
It's up to you if you want to say that.
Shut up.
So this is an email?
This is a message that came in.
We do not have to go through every single message.
No, we're not. We're not. But we're just highlighting a few.
Fuck off, Brad.
Okay, now I'm excited.
Okay, so
so for anybody before you get started, hey, anybody that wants to call in, drop us a line, say hello, or just tell us a crazy story about them.
Call, email, text 999-8098.
8098.
Yeah, or email.
Call, text, email. ubertalespodcast@gmail.com.
I think I'm just going to let you do it from now on because you remember it really well.
What
is the name of the email address?
It's also in front of you.
Yeah, anybody that wants to actually do it is. If you go to YouTube, you will.
It's on your screen. Or Spotify. We put our videos out there. So
yeah, that's right.
So I wanted to highlight a particular.
Dude,
get on with it, Brad.
The smile on his face. This better be good, Brad.
It just made me laugh because I thought I thought something similar when we recorded this episode, so I just kind of wanted to put it out there.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So this is from an episode, a couple weeks ago, and it says, "Why does Joshua have a scarf on over a tank top or his workout shirt? Whatever, it looks kind of off."
Okay.
I kind of thought the same thing, but
all right.
I didn't want to say anything.
So why does Joshua have a scarf over his tank top?
Because he was cold
because
after work.
Yeah, my ankles were cold. Anyways, no, I'm just
he's covering up his nipples.
I mean, that's where I figured it would have been.
No. So on that episode, I took off, what was I? I was wearing like a jacket or something. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, we do these in the morning. So I had my workout gear because I was going to go do a workout after we're done doing the podcast. So I had my tank top on. As I took my shirt off, Brad's little jealous petty ass is like, "Oh, look, he's a flexer. Oh, Brad, he's flexing. Look, he's trying to look tough." So I was like, "Fuck you, Brad." So I put my scarf on to try to cover up some of my
because a scarf covers up so much.
Well, I was trying to cover up my shoulders and stuff because Brad's like, "Oh, he's so tough.
I was just giving you shit.
Oh, you're tough, Josh. Look at you in your tank top. You're so tough." So I was like, "All right, fine. Fuck you,
if that's
Dad."
how you took it, that's on you.
I put my scarf on to try and cover up a bit.
There you go.
There you go.
Answer.
Listener.
The question has been answered. So if you have any really deep, dark questions like that you would like to ask Joshua or Brad or me, feel free to
call, email, text, or
do whatever you want.
Just show up here.
Or just
that'd be a little creepy.
Yeah, that would be creepy. I'm your biggest fan. Oh my gosh, it's Misery. She's gonna break our feet, every one of us.
Maybe.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about that. We got 3 listeners right now.
Wow.
Thanks, Bobby.
If you're that 3 listeners, we love you.
Yeah.
Bitches.
Forever. Uber bitches.
We haven't said that in a while.
End this show. Come on.
Okay. We do have to end the show. All right.
Thank you for listening, guys.
Yes, absolutely. This has been a good show. So, one of these days I will
get it right.
remember to end the show with some
properly.
Coolness.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun. Thank you for listening to Uber. Don't